Welcome, listeners, to Spielens Prakadrolia F1 Podcast Season 2. In this episode, analyzing Mercedes' speed in the race in comparison to previous years and analyzing the same along with Ferrari's pace and Norris's, Gasly's and Tsunoda's performances. That was a race desired by millions of Formula One fans, a race with all the action and all the surprises. That was a season opener. Last lap drama, various different strategy calls, pits to points and points to last. It was a great race and a display of what the 2021 season could have in store. Apart from the Verstappen-Lewis battle out in the front, a lap-by-lap analysis of which can be heard in the Final 5 Few for Verstappen Analysis podcast. Combined with the team strategies that helped Hamilton a bit in winning, there were some great drive from the likes of Norris and Perez and some disappointment for Alonso, Vettel and Pierre Gasly. There's a lot that happened and it given an idea about how close the 2021 season will be, as the top two were just milliseconds apart on pace. Ferrari has regained a lot of its lost speed and drivers new to F1 or their teams set in differently. Also, some interesting data regarding Mercedes' pace was obtained during the race, which seems to be pointing at something very important. Race start. The race was one lap shorter, as before the race itself, Perez's car had an electrical issue due to which it stopped between turns 12 and 13, which led to an extra formation lap needing to take place for the time during which Perez somehow managed to restart his car and enter the pit lane to start from there. This led to the race being a few laps shorter, as the cars have a set amount of fuel on board. The race start was frantic, as Hamilton and Verstappen both were angled towards the center, and then at the race start, Verstappen got the better start and quickly covered up the right side of the track to not allow Hamilton to get the inside line and overtake Verstappen into the first set of corners itself. Bottas did not have a good start, and Leclerc, held by his soft tyres, had a very good launch and lunged forward, battling it out with Bottas. Bottas seemed to be having some kind of issue in getting that required pace out of his car, but Leclerc, who has been handling the Ferrari superbly, held by the soft tyres he had as compared to the medium tyres on Bottas' car, he overtook Bottas by the time the safety car was deployed, as Mazepin failed to even make it through one lap in his debut F1 race and spun and crashed. Even at the race restart, although Verstappen was reporting some issues with his car regarding the bias and the throttle, but was able to work his strategy well, as he grouped everyone close and then launched himself safely into the first corner, reducing the length of the straight driven while racing, which reduced Hamilton's chances of catching him on the straight. Lando Norris's drive for McLaren. Lando Norris, after getting a fabulous start in challenging Ricciardo in the first lap itself, utilized his pace throughout the race. Norris showed some improvement compared to the 2020 season, as he continued with a good pace throughout the race and did not drop back even in the middle. Lando did not pick up his speeds towards the end, but rather had the pace from the start, and with the closed up field and Gasly making an error, Lando mainly had to challenge Leclerc. Lando was continuously keeping close to him and drove safe through the corners and did not take any unnecessary risk. He was helped a bit with Ricciardo still not being at step with his McLaren car, which as such looks easy to drive and has the required downforce and pace. It does not have very complex aerostructures, rather the cheeky structure of its diffuser helps it with rare and aerodynamic stability, and so although it is easy to drive, Ricciardo is taking a couple of races to get up to step with his car. Norris had the speed and made no errors while driving, proving his worth and his driving skills, and then the same battles taking place behind him ensured that he was not troubled a lot. And even if he would have been troubled a bit, he has shown how good he is able to defend his places, and it would most probably result in Lando maintain his place but with more battles, with Mercedes choosing different strategies but still having better pace than McLaren and staying up ahead in the front, Norris had a quite half a race. Norris was in P4 by lap P4, and then McLaren tried the undercut kind of strategy, bringing him in for a change of tires in lap 12 itself, which helped get back up fast. But then later on, they did not pit him before most of the other drivers in the front, but he did pit before the Perez and Sainz, which helped him just right through the main straight to gain the 2 places when they pitted. It was a well-managed strategy, and all in all, the baseline was that Norris just had the pace and his team ensured that he did not have to work extra hard to get good results. Perez and Bahrain, a last 2 points tale. After winning the Sakhir Grand Prix from P18, Perez finished P5 after starting from the pit lane, and not only did he finish P5, he even climbed to around the same spot both times before pitting after the first safety car period. Although it still looks like there is some problem with the second Red Bull car, Perez used his skills to make up around 12 places, with there being 3 retirements. Perez was helped a bit at the start, with there being a safety car at the start of the race, as he was able to easily maintain within 6 seconds of the leader, which he wouldn't have been able to do so early in the race after starting from the pit lane and also having to make an early pit stop due to problems with his tires. Perez then used the pace and his Honda-powered Red Bull car and his overtaking skills to easily make up places, but he had to keep fighting till the end and do much more work than the others in the top 6. Perez has shown that he is able to use the power of the Honda engine well, but what will be interesting to see will be his performance on circuits like Imola and Monaco. Yuki Tsunoda is a learner. As mentioned in the Friday since Formula 1 Gulf Bahrain Grand Prix 2021 article points, it seems that Yuki is not as impressive as the timing sheets might suggest at first, but what is impressive about him, understood after the race when he talked about it in a post-race interview, is that he will improve very fast and make himself that hot prospect as he is a learner. Yuki Tsunoda was talking about racing against Fernando Alonso when he revealed how he learned from Fernando during the race itself. Quote, "So I was of course aiming for Fernando and I drove with him for a couple of laps, and definitely I learned from him how he manages the tires and how he drives every corner. After I passed him, I just tried to copy how he's driving, and a couple of corners was better for my car as well." Unquote, Yuki Tsunoda after the Bahrain Grand Prix. If Tsunoda is such a quick learner as looks from his statement, then it will not be long before he becomes a driver who is looked at when the race is seen to be unraveling as a tough and challenging one. It is about creating that potential by learning new styles and then adapting to the situation and use the intelligence to explore that potential. If Yuki learns like this from all the drivers, he could slowly and steadily refine that into how he already drives and then come as a mixture of the world's best drivers, making him a hot shot at the championship in the future. But there is still a lot to learn for Tsunoda. Ferrari have recovered quite a bit of pace. Ferrari have recovered quite a lot of the lost pace just in terms of the engine itself, as was evident from the performance by Scuderia Ferrari themselves and their customer teams Alfa Romeo, and also a bit by Schumacher's Haas. Now, although the gap between their pace and their leader's pace has been decreased a bit, also due to problems with the Mercedes engine and aerodynamics, which is not allowing them to go as fast as they would like or would have hoped to, Ferrari themselves have required quite a lot of time, as evident from their lap times. But what is more important is that although their fastest laps in the race's average speed was lower than even in 2020, they have fared quite a bit well as compared to the pace lost by some of their main competitors, on which there is elaboration next. The interesting bit, Mercedes faster and fastest lap than 2020, others including McLaren, Aston Martin, Red Bull and Ferrari slower. The 2021 regulations are aimed at slowing the cars, and although it is expected that most teams will recover their pace by the end of the season, some exciting data has been noted in the race. Although the fastest qualifying lap was slower than in 2020, as per data from Formula1.com, the average speed of a car on their fastest race lap was more for Mercedes, even though all their customer teams were slower on their fastest lap. Now, although in 2021 Bottas set the fastest lap on soft tires, unlike Hamilton setting them on hards in 2020, the difference between the average speed is around 1.7 seconds. The difference between a hard and soft tire is told to be around at least the 1.5 to 2 second mark. If so is the case, then it looks as if Mercedes have recovered more pace than their competitors. Ferrari have also required quite a bit of pace, with their loss in pace being just around 2 seconds as compared to the around 3 second loss for Red Bull as per the data from Formula1.com. FIA.com, the official F1 website. The answers to Mercedes' pace will only be known by the team and possibly FIA. What makes it even more interesting is that the average pace by Hamilton on lap 44, which was his fastest lap of the race on hard, was more than 2 seconds slower than the one set in 2020. In that case, the difference between the two tire compounds being C4 and C2 would be around 4 seconds, which is not the case in reality. The difference between the fastest lap set by Mercedes and Red Bull on the hard tires is also something interesting to look at. Max Verstappen pit for hards at the end of lap 39 and set his fastest lap on lap 41 with a time of 1 minute 33.228 seconds and an average speed of 208.984 kmph, whereas Lewis Hamilton pit for new hards at the end of lap 28 and set his fastest lap on lap 44 with a time of 1 minute 33.970 seconds and an average speed of 207.235 kmph. Hamilton was slower by an average of 1.749 kmph on tires that were 16 laps old as compared to Verstappen's 2-lap older tires. In 2020, Hamilton set the fastest lap on 3-lap old hards at a time of 1 minute 32.864 seconds and an average speed of 209.803 kmph on that lap, 2.568 kmph more than in 2021 and 1.736 kmph slower than Bottas' fastest lap in 2021 on softs. It is evident that although Red Bull are faster in qualifying, Mercedes have not lost as much speed as their rivals and could be the first ones to be faster overall than in 2020. The data comparison raises several questions as to what is Mercedes' real pace in 2021, as the fuel loads, tire structure differences, development by the rivals, and everything else is taken into consideration. It is clear that overall Mercedes are slower than in 2020, but they have not lost as much as their rivals. And so, will Mercedes fare well on tracks like Jeddah and other tracks with faster corners? Now, some data analysis was also done by Formula 1, which shows as per FP1 and FP2 data, the mini sector data show that Mercedes are fast in all those mini sectors over different laps. Overall, as per Spiel's Petrolia's analysis and Formula 1's analysis that was mentioned about, Mercedes is faster than the others. They just need to be able to show that pace lap over lap, as their mean speed is faster than that of Red Bull. Keep playing, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching. Danke.